Hey guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Mike, also known as Brian. And with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How are you tonight, Psycho?
I'm doing all right. I think that's the first time you said Mike, as far as in your intro, at least.
It's true. I have been so busy. Like, I'm also double recording tonight, as well as we're getting everything prepped for Halloween Bash, our show coming up on, well, today as this drops, because I'll be dropping this on Friday. So make sure you get your tickets now for that. Hit us up on Devotion's Facebook page, Devotion Championship Wrestling, or on X/Twitter at DCW Salt Lake City. But yeah, so there's a lot of people calling me Mike today because we were getting all that stuff set up. So that's where my brain's stuck. And that's how we got that intro.
Yes.
So much wrestling in the last little while. Oh my god.
It's been ridiculous for you, especially.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I haven't been this busy since I was working out of state a ton, and I'm not even having to drive anymore. I'm just working out all the time here in Salt Lake because DCW is going to be available to you pretty much everywhere. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about another wrestling promotion. And that would be AEW, and this is us reviewing WrestleDream. A card put together and a show put together in memory of Antonio Inoki. So it's Inoki, excuse me, not Inoki. Antonio Inoki.
Antonio Inoki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I said Inoki. I'm super tired, so this should be a real fun episode.
I can try to carry us as best I can.
Wow, that sounds like our matches back in the day. All right. That all being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start off with our first match, Psycho. By the way, Psycho, how are you doing tonight? I forgot to ask you.
No, you didn't. You asked me, and I said I was good. Yes.
See? Tired. And go, Psycho.
Yes. So we're not going to do the pre-show. That would take too long anyway.
Yeah.
So it opened up, WrestleDream opened up with the Ring of Honor tag team titles defended. So you've got MJF actually without his partner, Adam Cole, as the reigning Ring of Honor tag team titles. So he's in a handicap match against the Righteous. Me personally, I thought this match was okay. Not as good as the one at All In that Adam Cole and MJF were in against Aussie Open. But I mean, it wasn't really a tag match. It was MJF basically showcasing himself. And I remember saying to you, I said, I don't even know who the Righteous is. Like, I have no idea. Why is this on pay-per-view when MJF should be defending his AEW World Championship on the show? I don't mind if they do both. If he defends his tag titles, and still defends later on, I think that would be an interesting story, actually. But I mean, at the same time, why are the Ring of Honor titles all being defended on AEW television? I mean, they have enough titles to defend on their own shows.
I think most every match on this card also had a title involved.
It was a lot. Yeah. This match was okay, but it really nothing more that shouldn't have been on a Dynamite or a Collision. So MJF retains, which makes, I had no idea who the Righteous were before. I still don't. And they got beat by one man, even if he is the world champion. So yeah, I don't think it made them look very good.
Yeah, it didn't do great for the Righteous. Got MJF over even more. Got the crowd super hot, but they were going to bump or pop for pretty much everything that MJF does right now because he is pretty much untouchable in the ring. So
he is. I just feel like this is a waste of MJF on the show when these pay-per-views should be headlined by their world champion. And I think it would draw more. It would get a better buy rate if MJF was defending his title, his title.
I think this is one of the biggest flaws that Tony Khan has relative to, say, like H or Vince. And that's he doesn't know how to change stuff on the fly. Like if a scenario like this would have happened in WWE, uh, there would have been some quick change real fast for MJF maybe to have a singles match. Like they could have easily done a quick storyline where instead of defending the tag titles because someone was injured or whatever, that they could have done it where he worked against Roddy, or even Roderick Strong was his new tag partner for this, right? That they could have done a story of that easily, and that's something on the fly that could have been done by H or by Vince. But Tony doesn't really do on the fly changes.
What I would have done here is with Michael Cole. Oh my gosh, with Adam Cole being injured, they could have easily said, because of that, this, they will defend uh against the righteous, but that'll be held off until Adam Cole is healthy, for a Dynamite or something. And so instead, MJF is going to defend his AEW World Championship. I mean, I get the story they're trying to tell, that he's keeping the belts, while Adam Cole's out. And maybe Adam Cole's out a while. I just hope they don't keep this going where he just wins a bunch of handicap matches, because I think that devalues the tag team division too.
I agree.
Because if one guy can beat them, even if it's a really good singles wrestler, then what's the point of the tag titles?
You know what I would have loved to see, which would have been hilarious, is have MJF bring Adam Cole down in a wheelchair, right, and have him still at the ring, and like have Adam Cole want to go for a tag, and MJF keeps going like, no, 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 I can't, because I don't want you to get hurt again, kind of thing, right? Like constantly go for that, and then maybe have like, because they're heels, right? They're heels doing, or they're over as faces, so you could have easily had it where like the righteous goes to hit the ropes, and Adam Cole was able to get up on one foot and like grab the leg or something that caused the comeback. Like you could have done that story and still made it that those two were over and still technically a tag team kind of thing, and done that way. They did a similar thing when AEW started with Britt Baker,
Mm-hmm.
where she was still around, she was cutting promos, she was still involved in things.
Right. And it got her more over.
Oh yeah.
What I'd like to see for them to do here, if this is the story they're going with, real quick, I think MJF, if they're going to do this, I would have MJF keep winning these handicap matches, but then Adam Cole comes out, and he ends up going heel and turning on MJF because he feels like MJF is like almost making it seem like he doesn't need him. And because he's winning these matches, and whereas MJF is the baby face here, which is weird, but he says he's doing it for Adam Cole. Adam Cole could turn on him and be mega heel of, hey, no, you need me. And that's kind of what I would do if they're going to do that, and then build up to that rematch. But
all right, next one.
Yes. So the next one is Eddie Kingston defending the Ring of Honor World title. Again, Ring of Honor titles. Versus, oh my gosh, Katsuyori Shibata?
Yes. Good job.
Yes, it's always tune in to see how I butcher these Japanese names. I'm 1 for 1 though. This match, I mean, it was on the better side of an Eddie Kingston match. I think, neither you or I are huge Eddie Kingston fans. We've kind of made our stance on him. Hey, we agree on something.
Right.
But this one, it wasn't the worst Eddie Kingston match I've seen. I mean, it's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston ends up winning the match and keeping his title. They did. The one thing I noticed in this is Eddie Kingston did that chop spot where he just chops repeatedly when that was already done on the pre-show.
Yep.
So, I just wish that they wouldn't repeat spots like that. Even if it is something that he normally does, but it was fine. Nothing I'm going to remember though.
I probably would say honestly, it's probably, well, if not the best Eddie Kingston match I've seen so far. Shibata is always good. He's one of the man. He's like one of those guys that uh, should not have still been wrestling. Like he had a severe head and neck injury that put him out for a long time, and he's back. Like it's weird. It's kind of like Daniel Bryan. Like he's fantastic, but you worry that like the one wrong bump's going to take him out. So Eddie Kingston is both the ROH champion as
Mhm.
well as the strong style champion
Mhm.
for IWG or IPW
Right.
or no,
Mhm.
I New Japan. Okay, and New
Okay.
Japan.
Yep.
Uh, and the pure champion in I believe it's the pure champion for New Japan is Shibata, and the rules are slightly different in there of how to win things like that. And the way that Eddie Kingston won that match would not have worked in as a pure champions match or a pure match. Uh, so they were kind of building a story where they're going to have this to go again, and it feels like they're going to go again, probably in New Japan, and have Eddie lose in the pure champion style. So he won, and standard wrestling, and then this one. So the storyline's there. They're working a good story. The match itself actually had a decent story, which again is odd for an Eddie Kingston match. Probably why I think it's one of his better ones. So, oh no, it was fine. Shibata obviously carried the crap out of him, and Shibata was amazing. So
Okay. So next we got the TBS Women's Title, Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart.
yep,
Um, I do really like Julia Hart's entrance. I love her music, and just it's different.
yeah. And you're not going to see her on
Um,
TV for about a month.
yeah, I heard about that, but I don't remember why. Can
She's
you
getting married. She's her and her soon-to-be husband, who's also on ROH, Lee Johnson, something like that.
explain?
He's they're getting married, and she's taking that month off for a honeymoon, which is fine because the House of Black ostensibly are all injured, so it's not really hurting anything to have her off TV.
Yeah. Um, is uh, is it just me? I may let my creepy side come out here a little bit, but creepy old man or whatever. But I get kind of sad when these really attractive women get married. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe should I have not have said that on the air. I don't know.
Well, it's out
But
there now. I don't really edit much of anything, so it's out there now.
moving on. This match. So it's it was okay. I I think had Julia Hart not been uh taking time off, I guess I would have liked to have seen her go over. I just think like the Chris Statlander stuff is kind of run its course for me.
Mhm.
She's a good worker. I just don't think there's much more you can do with her. They haven't really put her in like strong feuds here, for me to really invest myself into it. And so I would have liked to have seen something with Julia Hart here, especially with the cool entrance. But Statlander retains. Um and yeah, this was fine. I mean, it's not your worst women's match you'll ever see.
Julia Hart's still working on becoming cleaner in the ring. She had a
Mhm.
few mess ups here or there. Like she's not like where she will end up. She will be a
Mhm.
lot better worker, but she's only been in the business I think 4 years. So she's only going to get better. The biggest thing and one of the hardest things to ever do in the ring is find your character and know how to work it. And that is one of the greatest things that Julia Hart has about her right now, is she knows exactly who she is as a character, as her gimmick. So as she gets better in the ring, it's only going to get better. She will be ending up the women's and or TBS champion at some point. I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen her win this, but I think it might be slightly too early for her. But that being said, with Statlander, there's not a whole lot of other competition right now. Where if Julia Hart would have won, then she could have gone against uh, not Shibata, Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. The female. Oh, she was formerly the champion. Man, I am having a rough one today. Uh, she comes out with
Which
the katana, or not the katana, the kendo stick. Um, I can't
oh
think of her name.
um she was a former champion in AEW.
Mm-hmm. Twice over, actually. She was.
Oh, oh,
She had it going
she
into that 4-way with
is she
Tony Storm.
Japanese?
Yes.
Oh, oh my gosh, you know how I am with Japanese. Um,
Yeah,
that's
but
not. Yeah,
I
that's.
think everyone knows what I'm talking about. I apologize. Like I said, I'm very tired. Said I've had a long, long week. So,
I can't take it away.
you could have had a match with her.
Mhm.
Um, you could have had matches against like Tony Storm as the current way you can done that. There's a variety of matches that you could have with Julia Hart that you really couldn't have with Statlander. But that being said, I think Statlanders are currently the right choice for it. We'll just have to see how it continues. I don't know if she'll keep it much longer. I
I
would
can't imagine so.
I wouldn't be surprised to see uh a WWE star or female star coming across soon that may take it off of her. Whereas the end of the year, we'll start seeing a lot more contracts coming up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that happen.
Okay.
So
The next match, it's it's a four-way tag match. You've got the Young Bucks versus the Guns versus the Lucha Brothers versus Orange Cassidy and Hook,
mhm.
and the winner of this is supposed to get an AEW Tag Team Title match at some point. Um, I guess it's at Full Gear. But this was not as good as I thought it would be. And I say that because I wasn't expecting much from it, but usually with the Young Bucks matches, they don't have a lot of story, but it's usually an exciting match for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think this was on the lower end of that. Young Bucks end up winning, so they're getting another shot at, I guess, at FTR. So we get to, have the rubber match. But which they always worked it well together, but this match just kind of was, I don't know, it didn't have the same energy that you'd usually get from a Young Bucks match. It didn't feel like a big moment where they got another title shot. It felt like something that could have easily been done on Collision or gosh, even Rampage.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like this feels like it should have been building to this pay per view, not be on this pay per view.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Side tangent, by the way, I just looked it up while you were talking. It was Sheeta.
Sheeta, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Having a match with Sheeta was what I was thinking. That being said, yes, this match was fine. Like, I don't know. I never really felt like anybody else but the Bucks were going to win this.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I think this would have been great to build to maybe like this pay per view, instead of being on the pay per view. But yeah, it was okay.
I actually would have liked to have seen the Guns win it, to be honest, because I feel like them versus FTR is somewhat of a fresh matchup. Something that they could have done.
Yeah,
And had a because FTR can have a good match with anybody.
it's true. Well, and they also had it where like FTR. I'm pretty sure FTR beat the Guns for the belts, if I remember right. But
Oh,
I
well,
think they beat them. I don't think they beat them like in a straight up match. I think it was like a 4-way or triple threat or something like that match. I can't remember now, but I'm pretty sure they beat the Guns for the belt.
gotcha. I had forgotten that.
So
Moving on. Now, I will say, up until this point, a lot of these matches that we've talked about felt like filler to me.
mhm.
Like it felt like, okay, this is already a very long pay per view, and it's like, did this stuff really need to be on the pay per view? When it could have been saved for a Dynamite or whatever. Um, However, the next match And it wasn't something that I was necessarily super looking forward to before, but Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland, this match over delivered for me.
Yeah.
This match was, at least up until this point, and we'll see by the end of the show, but this match was, up until this point, the best match on the show. It was exactly what it needed to be. And honestly, I'd say that this match, it made Swerve feel like he was a main event player. Like he could legitimately challenge for one of the, top singles titles or even the world title and be right in place main eventing a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I very much agree. This was definitely a lot better match than I was expecting. I've always liked Swerve Strickland. From all the stuff I saw him on the Independents, when he was working as in Lucha Underground under the mask, where he was what's his name? I told you his name the other day when we were watching this, and
You did, but I'm not going to remember it.
it was Bloodshot. I think that's what it was, something like that. But he was wearing a mask in there as well. Had a great match with Martin in that one. But he's always been very good. But this was above and beyond because he had character in this match more than I've seen him in a long time have in matches. That and it helped a lot because the crowd was actually behind him. I mean, he was the heel of the match, but it was in his hometown in Washington, and so the crowd was totally behind him and was just crapping on Adam Page. Adam Page did really well in this too. Like, it takes two people to tango, and Adam Page did really well. But watching this match, it made me a fan of Swerve Strickland again, which I was kind of losing after watching him in both NXT and when he first came over to AEW and was tagging with Keith Lee. Because I just felt like they didn't literally let him be him. And this feels finally like he's being him. And I agree. Like, the current way he is, he could easily be going for the main for the big belts. I could see him going for the international title, right? Going up against Christian Cage or somebody may take it off of Cage. Like, let's say that.
Well, that's not the international. That's the TNT title.
It's the TNT title, but same thing.
There's too many titles.
Yeah. But let's say it's the TNT title, right? So he takes it off the TNT title off of whoever takes it off of Christian, which is probably going to be somebody we'll talk about later. That would be a great match.
It would be, and it was Kill Shot.
Kill Shot. That's what it was.
Yes, you were close. Yeah, and this match just, I love the package of Swerve with his, with is it Prince Nana?
The Mobile Embassy. Yeah, Prince Nana.
Yeah, like I love that. Like the dancing and stuff. Like the crowd was getting into that. They were. It's really ridiculous dancing actually, but they love it.
That man was on crack.
He's way over the top. You're right.
That's how you should do your gimmick when you come back.
Oh my gosh. Wait,
I'm telling you.
When I come back, have you heard something?
Well, I know you. I told you before, like, it totally should have the return of James Murray, the sixth member of NSYNC, come back, and Groove Machine all up for me for TMI.
I am pretty sure that you are not going to see Groove Machine or Jason Fox or Wildcat James Murray.
Yeah.
I don't think that you'll see any of those gimmicks in GCW.
If you can get it, if you can pop Manny, you would see all those, and you would get a ton of airtime for it.
There we go, the Three Faces of Psycho or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
He would go for it. That sounds like a bar fights gimmick, though. And Swerve ends up winning this, and Hangman held his own too. Hangman did awesome.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Wheeler Yuta versus Ricky Starks. Now, okay, we won't have a big diatribe over how I'm a big Ricky Starks fan and you're not.
As well as other people aren't who agree with me because his face looks like a toe.
There's other people that agree with me too.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. However, I feel like this match didn't do Ricky Starks any favors. Like, this was just it made him look like just another guy after after, he was having great stuff like CM Punk brought him to another level. Brian Danielson had a really good strap match with him and was, in a feud with him. It was making him seem like a top guy. And then he has a match with Wheeler Yuta, and Wheeler Yuta basically, you know, has a pretty close match with him. Starks ends up winning. Didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, could have been kept on Collision.
Yep.
This felt like them saying, okay, we've been pushing Ricky Starks, we needed something for him to do on the show, and they just threw him out there just to have him on the show.
Yeah, I can see that. But that goes to being the thing too. Like, even though you're pushing somebody, you don't always have to have them on everything, especially if you don't have a good thing to make them. Like, you
Right.
will lose more giving him
Mhm.
a bad match than you would ever just not having them have a match on the card.
And bad spot to be in following that Swerve and Hangman match.
Yeah. So, and Wheeler Yuta is a good worker, but Wheeler Yuta is a good worker and is better working with somebody. And I think that's the same thing with uh, Starks. Is he can be a good worker, but is able to enhance that quality working with somebody great. Um, so like with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, and even the CM Punk can bring people up in the quality match and stuff like that. You have stuff like that working with somebody like either of these guys, Wheeler Yuta or Stark. You are able to do that. The problem being is when you have those guys who are still young and don't know how to bring up quality like that, then you get this kind of match, which is just almost like a paint by numbers match.
Right. Yeah. It was what it was.
Yeah.
So then you've got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. And no final countdown to bring Bryan Danielson out, but that's okay. They don't have to do it every time. They'd be way too expensive.
Right.
This match this match was a great match. I know that it was about what you'd expect, and they delivered about what you'd expect. There was the funniest thing on this too, though, was Moxley. John Moxley was on commentary. He had been on commentary before for a lot of the
everything that dealt with the BCC.
Yeah, exactly. And he was hilarious. He was great on commentary. I think if he's out injured for longer or he's out for a bit, they should totally put him on commentary more, because it was awesome. Like, he dropped an F-bomb on commentary and Excalibur, said swear jar. It was awesome.
He does that, by the way, again, says the swear jar thing on Dynamite as well.
Yes, I did. That was in a certain segment that I did actually catch that segment.
Yeah.
This week. But this was really good. Bryan Danielson ends up beating him with his running knee strike, which was a great way for them to kind of. I know not Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness was on commentary basically saying that it's like the Zack Sabre Jr. was still the best technical wrestler in the world, because that was not a wrestling move.
Mm-hmm.
It was a technical wrestling move, and Danielson won in a very back and forth match. I had heard that, I guess, Bully Ray or Bubba Ray or whatever on his podcast said that he did not like this match because it had all the technical moves and everything, but there wasn't. Zack Sabre Jr. made it seem like it was too easy. What the struggle wasn't there for him, and that he went through this whole match and barely broke a sweat, and it shouldn't be that way if it's back and forth. So I kind of see that point. I guess different flavors, I guess, for everybody. But it was a good match though, and I look forward to the rematch, because Bryan Danielson went to shake the hand of Zack Sabre Jr. and he wouldn't shake it. So very, very good way to, I guess, set up a rematch for later.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of technical wrestling, so I was all about this match. Like, this match came on, I knew I was going to like it. I loved the crap out of this match. There was a lot of great story in the technical wrestling they did, but also the story in specifically that they talked about the strikes, right? The first person to throw a strike in the match was actually Zach, not Daniel, or Brian Danielson.
Right.
But then the way they ended it was that, and that opens the door to a maybe like a submissions match or something like that for the follow up or something like that, which they could totally do. And I would love to see these two go again. I would love to see these two go almost every pay per view. I feel like they could do a different kind of match every time.
You know what'd be awesome is them doing a best of 7 series.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really good.
I'd be so for that. Oh,
yeah,
man.
me too. They should do that, like not on paper, like through like Dynamites and Collisions, and then or something like that, or even on a Collisions, and then have it end, the 7th one, the deciding one or whatever, on the pay per view.
Yeah.
I think that would bring ratings up, but maybe not. Maybe the casuals won't care too much about, but it'd be entertaining.
I don't know. I'd be all about it either which way. Like I would, it would get me to watch the weeklies just for that match. Again, this match was for me. Like it was going to be for me, and this is the match of the night for me up to this point. Well, actually, in general, I think for me the whole night, this was match of the night for me.
Yeah, I think I'd place it slightly above the Swerve match, but only slightly, because I really did love that Swerve and Hangman match.
I did like it too. But again, like I said, this match, it was for me. I was all about this match. In fact, like the following training on Wednesday, we went and did a bunch of hold-to-holds and worked up lockup and things like that. I put a bunch of people into submissions because I was all hyped about it. Like, let's go.
The only thing that would have made this match better for me was if there was a better story surrounding it rather than just a dream match, let's see who the best technical wrestler is. I feel like that's a lot of what Bryan Danielson is involved in lately. And I like it better when there's something really personal involved, where there's a story, where there's passion. And I'm not saying they can't like get to that point with it, and maybe this is a starting point or something, and they can build to that if they have Zack Sabre Jr. Stick around a little bit longer, or they bring him back occasionally. But I would just like it to be a little bit more personal.
Well, they added some, but this doesn't really feel like they reflected on it as much because they were talking about how Daniel's planning on retiring soon, or at least winding his career down.
Right.
But he's been wanting to have this match, and he's never really had the opportunity to have this match. There's always something. One of them will get injured or something. And so they did play the story a bit, but it just didn't feel like they reached to that in the conversation, like to the story. So that being said, what's the next match we got?
Next match, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay, Konosuke, oh my gosh, oh my gosh,
Takeshita.
I know, yes, Takeshita, thank you, and Sammy Guevara.
Oh yeah, you get the Spanish one, okay.
So this one, it had a nice story with the whole Jericho and Sammy Guevara and Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega and the whole family. The Don Callis stable, whatever they call the family against
Don Callis family is what they call it.
Yeah, yes. So exactly. This one had a story, and I thought that for what they did, it was pretty good. It wasn't going to touch either of the two previous best matches on this show, but it was what it was. It wasn't bad. I think it was good for pay-per-view. It advanced the story. So you had Guevara actually getting the pin on Jericho after Don Callis used the bat on Jericho, I guess, to knock him out. Yeah, it was it advanced the story. It was good action for a 6-person match. Yeah, nothing to complain about here.
Sammy Guevara is what to complain about here. He is so much of the I want to hit my cool moves that it takes away and is dangerous. There was one he did where he wanted to do a like a springboard into a cutter or a top rope into a cutter or something like that onto I can't remember if it was Jericho or Kenny.
Sound
It was one of the two. And it was just horrible. He missed it by a mile and stuff like that because it's one of those looks cool moves, but it doesn't really help anything.
it was on Kenny.
Yeah.
It was on Kenny.
So he needs to chill out and needs to grow up in his immature as a wrestler to realize he can't try to hit all of the fancy crap and hit what helps with the story of the match.
Yeah, I think he'll get there. Like I don't know. If CM Punk was around, he'd straighten him out, but we don't have that.
They probably put him in a choke.
Maybe he needs it. So the next match, we've got the actual AEW World Tag Team titles, FTR versus Aussie Open. It's funny because when this match was announced and everything, I was like, oh, these Ring of Honor guys again. But I mean, at least I knew who the Aussie Open was, because they had lost on All In on the pre-show. They lost the tag titles, the Ring of Honor tag titles, to MJF and Adam Cole. And I was like, why are they getting a title shot here? They lost the Ring of Honor tag title and they're going for the AEW tag titles. It doesn't make a lot of sense there. But this match was way better than I thought it was going to be. FTR, I don't know if they're miracle workers or if Aussie Open, is growing on me or whatever, but this was a fantastic tag team match. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and this was a great tag team match.
It was.
And so I could watch matches like this like all day long.
Yeah, it was a very good match.
This match was for me.
Yeah, it was. And I'm also a big tag team guy too. I mean, it's what I do a lot of anymore. And I was very much enjoying this match as well. I love FTR and just about everything that they do because they hit the moves that are important for the story, but they also hit the cool moves. But they also tell such a great story in the match, anyways. Like almost every match they work, they have a great story to tell through the match. They had a great several spots where Cash kept coming over to Dax to try and get a tag, and first he got knocked off the apron. Dax got knocked off the apron, and then he, as Cash was able to fight back and was reaching for it, then Dax got pulled off the apron and stuff like that. And they kept going back and forth for it. It was so good, so good. The only problem I have with it at all, and this is an AEW problem altogether, is, and to be honest, it's a wrestling problem right now in general, is the concept of one man in the ring at a time and the ref having similarly no power to put other people out. Because these guys will put a minute and a half, 2 minutes in the ring doing a bunch of tag moves together instead of maybe doing a tag move real quick or working to something, tag in, tag out, and do it again, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And needing an account. But they're just standing there doing 5 things at once, and the ref's like, you guys need to get out.
Right.
So, but that's literally my nitpick at it because it was a fantastic match.
Yeah. Yeah, I love FTR so much as far as tag team wrestling goes. It's good stuff. Okay. So now we get to the main event for the TNT title, 2 out of 3 falls. We've got Christian Cage defending against Darby Allin. And Darby Allin's in his hometown. He's a Seattle guy.
Yep.
This is, As soon as this match was announced as the main event, the rumors started going. And people were, suspecting things. We'll get to that. But uh Darby Allin, you know, he comes down on his skateboard, and then he's hitting the steel ring steps with his skateboard over and over, and I guess he must have like hit himself in the face or whatnot because he was bleeding before the match even started.
Yeah.
It was very Goldberg-esque, you know. Um, but I he gave his skateboard to like some kid in the crowd or whatnot. And Darby Allin in the media scrum after the show, he was like, "I just hope that kid grows up, and he ends up skating. I hope I don't see that on eBay or something." But
Totally where it's going.
yes, this match, it was pretty brutal to be honest. Like not in a bad way per se, but it was very stiff and
It wasn't a Moxley level brutal match, but
yeah, but if you see a Darby Allin brutal match, it's that like crazy bumps that are going to shorten his career.
you know, after this match, Darby's legit injured. Like he's currently out right now because of an injury
Hmm.
from this match. And surprisingly, out of all the stuff he's done in the last 4, almost 5 years of stuff with AEW, this is the first time he's out with an injury.
Okay.
It's just crazy to think of all the craziness he does. I mean, you'd have to hazard a guess that injury came from the steel steps.
You would have to think so because that's sick. Before we get to the steel step spot though, I do want to say like that first fall that happened where Darby Allin pulls the turtleneck of Christian down over his face and then I think uh rolls him up or something. Maybe it's a sunset flip or something
It's an
like that.
O'Connor roll.
I forget what it is. Oh yeah, in a cutter roll. Um and does that while his turtleneck is covering Christian's face. I love that spot, and he got the pinfall for the first fall. That was such an entertaining way to get one of the falls.
Yeah.
I love it. Um, Christian ends up winning the next fall by countout with using the steel steps, and as it should have ended up in a count out. Because yeah, he basically slams him down onto these steel ring steps from the apron and does it multiple times, like putting him on it. It was sick because how he landed was dangerous. It was
That's an understatement.
like I do not understand how you can take that and not get hurt or be really, really, in pain the next day. Um, but yeah, almost cringe worthy to like watch again.
It was really hard to watch in general because you can see the spot coming. And a
Mhm.
large to do is reason you can see the spot coming is they screwed up like 3 times trying to get to the spot because the spot initially was supposed to be a suplex from the inside to the outside.
Yeah. Ugh.
And that didn't work. And then it was trying to suplex him off of the apron and couldn't get him up. Then it was a body slam, which is the one. It was probably one of the worst ones because he throws him onto it from a body
Mm.
slam, and he was all but vertical, hitting the bottom stair, and then his back going across all the subsequent stairs going up. It was horrible, and he took it like 3 more times. Um,
Ugh.
so bad.
It'd be one thing if he landed flat on the steps or something. It'd be like, oh, that's painful, but at least he, did a flat bump, flat back bump or something. But the way he took it on like the corner of the stairs, oh, like what was he thinking? He's not Mick Foley, and he doesn't have the body to absorb that. I don't think.
No, I agree, and I think the part that's the worst for me is, and this is something I consciously think about whenever I work in a match, is there's some little kid out there that's going to
Ugh.
attempt to do this or something to this similarity
Mm.
because Darby's his favorite wrestler, right? It's why it's so hard to do crazy crap like this. At least to me, like my girls watch me work and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and I don't want them to do something like this until they are properly trained. And even that, it like
Right.
you don't train for this.
I thought you were going to go, there's going to be some kid that grows up, and they get trained to be wrestler, and that's the style they want to do, and it brings up a whole new, influence of wrestlers. But no, even further, like you said, it's like, don't try this at home.
Yeah.
There's going to be kids, doing that with their friends or whatnot, in backyard wrestling feds, or even worse, just like 5-year-olds or whatever,
Yep.
doing that. That's why I don't really let my son watch wrestling right now. He's too impressionable, he doesn't get it. He thinks it's cool because daddy did it or whatever, um but I think you need to have that talk with kids
Hmm.
first and being like, hey, first of all, don't try this at home. They're trained professionals. It's they're not really trying to hurt each other. I mean, you got to have those types of talks, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise someone's going to get hurt. And then they'll blame it on wrestling, and yeah, I don't know. It's this to me, like, it's not my thing with those types of bumps. Like, it just didn't look safe.
I agree, and like I've been seeing bumps like this a lot lately.
Mhm.
Kevin Owens has been taking similar bumps like this recently, but
But he has a better body to absorb it than Darby
he
Allin.
does, and he also takes it differently because like this was a body slam onto the stairs going up the stairs, so like
Mhm.
his head was hitting the lower portion, and the rest of his body was falling up. There's not a good safe way of taking it that way. Where like with Kevin, he's ostensibly getting thrown back first into the stairs from butt going up the stairs up to the head. And even that, like he tucks his head and he covers the back of his head. Like he's still taking it relatively safe for what he can do. There was nothing for Darby. Like Darby just
Yeah.
got good luck chucked and that was it. And that's like not even the worst. Because then later he ends up taking more bumps after that, going towards the third fall on a skeleton ring.
Yeah, so what Brian's meaning there is, so Christian starts like taking the ring apart, basically, undoing the canvas and peeling it back to reveal the wooden planks that's under the mat. And they start bumping on the wood, which is no fun, you know and so very dangerous stuff. But I mean, that honestly was less dangerous than the stairs, in my opinion.
But
um
I agree is definitely the less dangerous, but it's compacting a problem well along with the
sure.
stairs.
Right, right.
They didn't need to do
So
that additional spot after the stair spot because you as Christian as a worker for doing this for nearly 30 years, you have to look at this and be like, okay, he's messed up. Let's skip this spot and we'll just go towards the home, right? Because they could have done like the chair instead, which has been a lot safer than the skeleton.
well, and everything they did for the finish, it didn't need that. It
Mm.
didn't need the canvas to be pulled up and those bumps on the wood. Because the finish they went with is, they uh basically the refs bumped and everything, and Nick Wayne jumps in the ring. We haven't even mentioned his mom. Um
Yeah,
um so you said that I was hoping Nick Wayne's name was actually Stacy.
yeah.
Um, some of you will get the joke out there. Um, I said, or maybe Stifler's mom, but anyway, uh, uh, Nick Wayne ends up turning on Darby, hitting him with the belt. And Christian ends up getting the pin to retain. In his hometown. So thank goodness they didn't just end on that, though, because I think that would have been a kind of a sad way to go out. It's like, the guy loses in his hometown and the heel wins. WWE would do stuff like that all the time.
Hmm.
and they would go off the air with that, and they'd kill towns because everybody would get pissed off because why are they burying people in their hometowns? WWE loves to do that. Tony Khan kind of likes to send the fans home happy in some way.
Yeah.
So if they beat someone in their hometown, there's a reason for it, so they can build to something else that's going to send the fans home happy and hopeful. Well, they're doing this big beatdown, and Nick Wayne and Christian, who are aligned now, they're beating down Darby. Sting makes the save until Luchasaurus joins in, and they end up being too much for Sting. And Christian gets the chair. He's going to do the concerto, the one-man concerto.
Mm-hmm.
And right as he's about to smash Sting's brains in, the lights go out, and there's a video that plays on the monitor or on the Titantron, I guess, whatever their screen is called. And it starts saying about your feature presentation, and it shows somebody getting in a car and basically driving up the highway. They actually said that while they had filmed that, actually, I guess, the night before, and while they were doing that, they timed it perfectly with because I guess whatever sports team in that arena had won, and so the fireworks were going off for them, and they were like, everybody will think that AEW paid for those fireworks, to go above the arena, and it wasn't. So they got like some free fire out of that.
Nice.
But yeah, and then it arrives at the building, the crowd pops, and the lights come back on, and you hear the familiar sounds of, except for a little bit different, of "You Think You Know Him."
Yep.
And the music plays, and you've got the familiar music of the man formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland, and he makes his AEW debut. He comes out. He's got basically the same presentation as he had in WWE, which is very similar to how Cody Rhodes debuted in WWE with his AEW music. What a world we live in, that people can debut with their musics from the previous company that never would have happened in the day back in the Monday Night Wars if they wouldn't have come in with the same music. So crazy. Crazy world we live in. But he comes in, and Christian looks like he's seen a ghost. Edge puts his hand out to take the chair from Christian, and Christian looks like, he hands it over to him, and it looks like Adam Copeland is going to smash Sting's head in himself with the chair for the concerto, but instead he turns around and blasts Nick Wayne with the chair, and then he throws the chair at Luchasaurus, and then ducks a clothesline, hits Luchasaurus with a spear while Christian bails. Christian is grasping his title, like it's my precious, right? And Adam Copeland is staring him down, and his music goes off again, and great way to end the show, and send the fans home happy, and good debut, honestly. And it was the video actually where Adam Copeland debuted was actually seen more times than the debut video for CM Punk. So for AEW, so that shows that a lot of people are interested in it. Yeah, I mean, before we get to the Adam Copeland thing, what did you think of any last comments on the main event?
I think the match itself was fine. It did exactly what it needed to do, and that was to put Darby over as an insane person and taking all these crazy bumps, and more importantly, putting Christian over as that sadistic heel. I actually had a conversation with one of our trainees recently because that's what his gimmick is. Like, he says his gimmick is he's a psychotic, sadistic heel. And my response is, no, you are this person working towards a goal. You have to go through a storyline to be able to be psychotic and sadistic. You don't start off that way. You have to earn it. And this is definitely where Christian earned that title.
This might be the best version of Christian that there ever has been.
I agree.
Because even at his peak in WWE, like when he was getting the title shots against Randy Orton and when he had won the world title and when he won the world title in WWE, it was basically given to him because Edge retired and he was his friend. And so they put the title on him as basically a same reason that Rey Mysterio got it after Eddie Guerrero passed away.
Yeah.
Even though Edge didn't pass away, they did,
It was for the good feels.
Right, exactly. Same reason Kurt Angle won the title after 9/11. All of that, the good feels, right? And then he went into that heel program with Randy Orton, and it never really felt like he was a main event guy, though.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like hold on a second. It felt like he was like one more match, but they had good matches, but he never felt like he was really going to win it and be that guy. Whereas, and in Impact Wrestling in TNA or whatever, there he felt like a main eventer, but it was still kind of like a
big fish in a small pond.
Exactly. Whereas here, now finally, this feels like he's a main event guy now, and he's elevating that TNT championship to a whole new level. Just with his storyline and his whole storyline with being like the father figure, and everything. His promos are great. If you haven't watched the press conference or the media scrum after, I highly recommend it. Christian is amazing. He stays in character the whole time in the media scrum, and he just like obliterates like everybody, like the fans, or like they clap when he gets introduced, and he's like, I don't need your lame applause, I know how great I am. And just and then he signals out Brian Alvarez, who writes for the Wrestling Observer with Dave Meltzer, and because he has a question and everything, and he calls him out. This seems like this was not in character, like it was in character, but it was a shoot. He meant what he said. He was like, basically like, how many star ratings did you give me? It's it's like, I love talking to Marks, and just he's like, he just everything. It is amazing. Like he does what CM Punk like tried to do, but in a much classier way. And I'm a huge CM Punk mark, but with the you would have never guessed by listening to this show. But Christian here, it's just everything he's doing is working, it's elevating, and he earned that main event spot. He really did. It wasn't just because Adam Copeland was debuting. I mean, maybe it was, but it felt right at home. And that's going to be a big mega match when we get Adam Copeland versus Christian. That's going to be a great match, and that could main event a show.
Yeah. That could easily main event a show. In fact, I'm pretty sure it will, especially following that with the Dynamite stuff, where on Dynamite, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch it, Christian and Edge have a moment out in the ring. Edge is wanting Christian to, it's just like, he comes out and he's very passionate about everything, and about him coming to AEW and stuff like that, about wanting to spend time with his best friend and things, and invites Christian to come out and everything else, and doesn't even get like Christian talk. Like, Christian says like 3 words in this whole promo, which is great because it's just cold stared reaction. And he gets into Adam Copeland gets into a very passionate monologue about how he had to come out and do this because he was about to concerto Sting, someone that Christian loved. Sting, a guy that he went and got a haircut to look like, while he went and got a Lex Luger haircut so they could look like their favorite workers. like Sting, like this whole thing about how much he loved Sting as a kid and stuff like that. And he had to stop him from doing something he thought he would regret. But he wants to tag with him. And he's like, work with me, tag with me. We'll show we are still the greatest tag team of all time. And then they go and hug, and Christian tells him on the mic as they're hugging to go F himself. And then that goes to walk off and then says, here's a preview of next week, and says Luchasaurus out to attack him and such like that. It was such a great promo. Christian is just nailing it right now. And they
So
have obviously a great story going in between him and Edge.
I watched this segment back on I actually watched it on AEW's YouTube. I didn't watch it live or anything like that, but when Christian said to go F yourself, I didn't know what he said because they bleeped like that whole thing. Did they was it less censored on the actual AEW show, or no? We just kind of read about
You,
what he said because
so after watching it again through like TikTok and things like that from people who actually were there recording it, that's where you get to go F yourself.
Gotcha. I So I was like, no way did they let that go on TBS or
No.
whatever. But no, it's great. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, it very well could main event a show, especially if MJF is working the Ring of Honor tag titles instead of defending his world title. So there you go.
Yeah, it was a good thing and a good way to bring in Adam Copeland. By the way, side tangent. He actually spoke with Alter Bridge, who's the people that do his music, and got permission to do that. But they re-recorded that for him because of who did the entrance, the "You Don't Know Him," which was recorded by Beth Phoenix.
Right. Which is pretty cool. Who knows? We might see Beth Phoenix one day in an AEW ring, doing something.
Maybe.
It's possible. The only thing I'll say about Adam Copeland, like, I'm happy he's there, and I think AEW definitely, it's going to help with the star power. It didn't really, I don't know if it really resulted in ratings so yet, because like I think they still got beat by NXT this week for the ratings as far as viewership goes. But I think eventually when people hear that he's there and everything, it'll result in some bigger viewers. I'm excited to see him on Saturday in Collision in Salt Lake City. So that'll be fun. He's going to be there.
Also the whole thing with the special Tuesday Dynamite, right?
Right. Yes.
Which is
So
where he's having his first match against this Luchasaurus.
right.
And NXT suddenly has a bunch of big names coming down from the main roster to be on NXT to obviously work against the ratings for it. Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
I hope both of them, I hope both of them do a good rating and have put on a good show.
Yep.
Adam Copeland does look kind of old though. I'm not gonna lie. When I especially like in his promo on Dynamite, he looks old. Like, so I don't know.
Let's call it seasoned. He looks seasoned.
Yeah, and maybe that's kind of like how Ric Flair looked like 20 years ago when and then 20 years later he still has a match. But but he doesn't look old like Ric Flair now wrestling.
Yeah,
But he
when Ric Flair came back over to the WWE in 01, that was seasoned Ric Flair, right? When he was doing the GM thing and went from there, that was seasoned Ric Flair, and that's kind of where I feel like this is right now for seasoned Adam Copeland.
Although I think Adam Copeland now can put on better matches currently, and so I like it. I think it'll be good for AEW. And people, I heard somebody talking about how this is kind of like a trade. AEW got Adam Copeland and WWE got Jade Cargill. Who won the trade? Basically,
We'll have
it's
to
like,
see.
yes, obviously one's younger than the other, and so who knows what they're going to eventually become. And Adam Copeland's on the tail end of his career, but I'm excited though to see kind of what they can do.
Yep. All right. So, with all that being said, how did we like the pay-per-view overall? I thought it was a fairly good one. I do feel it was lacking comparison to the last several ones that we've had that were very good.
I feel like it was a tale of two halves. I feel like the second half of the show was a lot better than the first half. I would say from the Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, I think from that match on, the show was excellent. Um I feel like some of those previous pay-per-views, they didn't have the surprise of an Adam Copeland, returning or whatever. So they didn't have that, which added a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's I think if they can keep this up, I love that. I love professional wrestling right now. I love this state. I love that there's two companies where somebody can, jump to the other company and get a fresh start. That there's more places for the wrestlers to work.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, I mean, Adam Copeland, in the WWE was basically about to retire and all that. The fact that he can jump to AEW and feel a little bit fresh, take his
Revigorate
music
his
over there,
career.
yeah, and you can get that extra pop, right, of him showing up somewhere new, and then you've got someone like Jade Cargill that or Cody Rhodes or whatever that can jump to the other side and be, have a whole new chapter in their careers and be young and kind of grow from there. I just love, because if there was only one promotion right now, there just wouldn't be as much interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, all right. With all that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed this pay-per-view. And before we go, I just want to run through what we will be doing for Devotion Championship Wrestling. As this airs on Friday, October 6th, we will be at Light Tree Studios for Halloween Bash. I'm super excited because this is a huge show, a special show because it's on Friday, and it's because AEW Collision will be tomorrow and Saturday here in Salt Lake City. And we will actually be having Sean Dean, who is a talent scout for AEW, as well as a booker for Collision, as well as Dark. He'll be at that show. He'll be on the show, in fact. So I'm super excited to meet him. He's doing a seminar for anybody that's in the wrestling world. If you want to come down today. Reach out to us through Devotion Championship Wrestling on all of our socials, which I'll get to at the end. And you can get yourself to do that seminar. I believe the seminar starts at 3 today. So I know it's a little hard because it's a weekday. That being said, October 14th, we'll be in Logan, Utah. On October 21st, we'll be right back up in Ogden at Tussle Time 8. And then November 3rd, I skipped one. October 19th, we'll be at Liquid Joe's for our first Tussle Time at Liquid Joe's. Then the 21st, that following weekend, we'll be up in Ogden. And then November 3rd, we'll be at Aces Saloon here in Salt Lake at bar fights there. So we have a lot of great wrestling coming up. I believe we have some variety of show or something we're doing almost every weekend going up into December 16th at the moment. And that could always change. So to find out for sure, follow us on Facebook at Devotion Championship Wrestling or on Instagram at Devotion Championship Wrestling or on X, formerly Twitter, at DCW Salt Lake City or on TikTok at Devotion Wrestling. All right. You can also follow us directly here at Be Hero Presents at Be Hero Media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also go to our website, which is BeHeroMedia.com. If you have any questions, concerns, read up about all of our stuff, including blogs and soon to be archive page where you can listen back to old episodes of all of our shows from Be Hero. And lastly, you can reach out to me and Psycho directly. You can find me at Mike Burke DCW on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and Mike Burke Pro on X. You can reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on Facebook. And deep breath. All right, Psycho. Anything else going on?
And I'll be at Collision,
As
Saturday,
a fan.
tomorrow. Yep, as a fan,
So,
but still,
hey, who
you
knows?
might see me there.
You might see your boy there too at
Yeah.
Collision if Sean Dean decides to put me on the card. Sean, please put me on the card.
Yeah, and if you're at Collision, if you're going to Collision, if you can see me, come say hi.
Definitely come say hi. So, all right, guys. Well, if there's nothing else left, please reach out to us on social medias. Let us know what your favorite match from this card was. And I hope you guys have a great night and great morning. And I hope to see you guys tonight at Halloween Bash. And for the rest of Be Hero Media, this has been Psycho, this has been me, and this has been us tapping out. Have a great night, guys.